If you've been noticing more hair in your brush lately, or a part that seems just a little wider than it used to be, I want you to know something before we go any further. You're not imagining it. And more importantly, you're not powerless. But here's what most people over 50 get completely wrong. They focus on what they put on their hair, when the real answer has been sitting quietly in your kitchen or on a grocery shelf this entire time. Stay with me, because what we're about to cover might genuinely change how you think about hair health for good. And if this kind of practical, science-backed content is useful to you, consider subscribing. We publish new videos every week designed specifically for people in their 50s, 60s, and beyond. Let's start at the root of the problem, and I mean that quite literally. Hair loss after 50 is not simply about getting older. That's one of the biggest misconceptions out there, and it keeps millions of people chasing the wrong solutions for years. The real story starts at the hormonal level, and once you understand what's actually happening inside your body, everything else begins to make sense. Here's the simplified version. As we age, the body's hormonal balance shifts. In men, testosterone begins to convert more readily into a compound called dihydrotestosterone, or DHT. Research suggests that DHT is one of the primary drivers of what's known as androgenetic alopecia, which is the clinical term for pattern hair loss. What DHT essentially does is bind to receptors in the hair follicle and, over time, causes those follicles to miniaturize. The hair they produce becomes thinner, shorter, and eventually, in some cases, the follicle stops producing hair altogether. This process doesn't happen overnight. It happens gradually, quietly, and by the time most people notice it, it's already been going on for years. In women, the picture is a little different, but no less important. After menopause, estrogen levels drop significantly. Estrogen, among its many roles, actually helps protect hair follicles. It prolongs the growth phase of the hair cycle. When estrogen declines, that protective effect weakens, and hair may begin to thin more diffusely across the scalp. Studies have found that a significant percentage of women over 50 experience some degree of hair thinning, and yet it's still not talked about nearly enough. Now, there's another layer to this that most people overlook entirely, and this is where things get really interesting. Inflammation. Quiet, chronic, low-grade inflammation that many of us carry around without even knowing it. Research in recent years has increasingly pointed to scalp inflammation as a key contributor to follicle damage and accelerated hair thinning. This type of inflammation doesn't cause pain, it doesn't announce itself, but experts believe it creates an environment around the hair follicle that makes it progressively harder for healthy hair to grow. Poor diet, high stress, insufficient sleep, and even certain nutrient deficiencies can all fuel this kind of internal inflammation. And here's what surprised researchers in several nutritional studies. The people with the best hair retention outcomes at older ages weren't necessarily the ones using the most expensive topical treatments. They were more often the ones whose nutritional profiles supported lower systemic inflammation and better hormonal balance from the inside out. Which brings us to the seed, pumpkin seed, specifically pumpkin seed oil and whole pumpkin seeds. Now, I know what you might be thinking. A seed? That's the big revelation? But stay with me, because the science behind this is genuinely compelling, and it connects directly to everything we just talked about. A well-cited clinical study published in the journal Evidence-Based Complementary and Alternative Medicine followed men experiencing hair loss over a 24-week period. One group received pumpkin seed oil supplementation, the other received a placebo. The group taking pumpkin seed oil showed a noticeable increase in hair count compared to the placebo group by the end of the study. The researchers attributed this, at least in part, to pumpkin seed oil's apparent ability to inhibit the activity of an enzyme called 5-alpha reductase, which, as you may recall from our earlier discussion, is the very enzyme responsible for converting testosterone into DHT. That's not a miracle, that's a mechanism, and understanding the mechanism is what makes this genuinely useful rather than just another wellness trend. Let's go through the key ways pumpkin seed may support hair health after 50, and how you can actually incorporate this into your daily life. The first area is DHT inhibition through natural 5-alpha reductase activity. As we covered, DHT is a significant driver of follicle miniaturization in men and certain types of hair thinning in women. Pumpkin seeds contain a unique profile of phytosterols, plant-based compounds, along with delta-7 sterols that research suggests may interfere with the 5-alpha reductase enzyme pathway. This doesn't mean pumpkin seed oil works the same way as prescription medications targeting this enzyme. It doesn't. But as a nutritional support strategy, it appears to work in the same general direction, gently and without the side effect profile associated with pharmaceutical options. Realistic expectations here are important. This is something that may support the slower progression of thinning over time, not an overnight transformation. For daily use, studies typically referenced around 1 to 2 grams of pumpkin seed oil in capsule form, or about a small handful of raw, unsalted pumpkin seeds added to your daily diet. You can sprinkle them on yogurt, blend them into a smoothie, or simply eat them as a snack. The second area is zinc delivery, and this one is especially important for people over 60. Zinc deficiency is far more common in older adults than most people realize. Studies have found that absorption of zinc from food becomes less efficient as we age, and yet zinc is absolutely critical for hair follicle function. Zinc plays a role in protein synthesis, cell division, and tissue repair, all of which are active processes inside a healthy hair follicle. Research suggests that zinc has its own inhibitory effect on 5-alpha reductase activity, adding another layer to what we just discussed. Pumpkin seeds happen to be one of the richest plant-based sources of zinc available. A single 1-ounce serving contains a meaningful percentage of the daily recommended intake. For older adults who may already be running low, this represents a genuinely practical and enjoyable way to shore up a deficiency that could be quietly contributing to hair thinning. The third area is anti-inflammatory support through antioxidant compounds. Remember what we said about chronic low-grade scalp inflammation? Pumpkin seeds contain vitamin E, carotenoids, and various phenolic antioxidants that have demonstrated anti-inflammatory properties in nutritional research. The connection here is indirect but meaningful. By helping to reduce the systemic inflammation burden on the body, these compounds may contribute to a healthier scalp environment over time. Experts believe that chronic oxidative stress accelerates the aging of hair follicles, and antioxidant-rich foods like pumpkin seeds are one of the most accessible tools we have to push back against that process. The fourth area is scalp circulation support through magnesium and essential fatty acids. Hair follicles are tiny but incredibly metabolically active. They require consistent blood flow to deliver the oxygen and nutrients needed to produce hair. Pumpkin seeds are a notable source of magnesium, a mineral involved in hundreds of enzymatic processes in the body, including those that support healthy blood vessel function. They also contain a favorable ratio of omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids in the oil, which studies have linked to improved circulation and reduced inflammatory signaling. Think of it this way: even if the follicle is intact and capable of producing hair, if the blood supply carrying nutrients to it is sluggish or compromised, the follicle can't do its job as well. Supporting circulation through nutrition is one of the quieter but genuinely important pieces of this puzzle. And the fifth area is hormonal balance support through phytoestrogens, particularly relevant for women. For women going through or past menopause, the decline in estrogen we discussed earlier creates real vulnerability for hair follicles. Pumpkin seeds contain lignans, which are a class of phytoestrogens, plant compounds that can interact gently with estrogen receptors in the body. The research here is more preliminary than some of the other areas we've discussed, and it's important not to overstate it. But some studies do suggest that regular consumption of foods rich in plant lignans may support hormonal balance in postmenopausal women in modest but measurable ways. This is one of those areas where the science is still evolving, but the nutritional safety profile of pumpkin seeds makes them a reasonable addition to a diet focused on healthy aging. Now, here's something important. There are several common habits that may significantly undercut the benefits of everything we just discussed, and it wouldn't be fair not to mention them. Chronic high stress is one of the most powerful accelerators of hair loss at any age, and it compounds everything we've talked about. Elevated cortisol disrupts hormonal balance, promotes inflammation, and can actually push hair follicles prematurely into their resting phase, a condition called telogen effluvium. If pumpkin seed is one tool in the toolbox, stress management has to be another. Diets extremely high in processed sugar and refined carbohydrates create an inflammatory environment in the body that works directly against the anti-inflammatory benefits of nutrient-dense foods. You don't need to be perfect, but consistently poor dietary choices can blunt the impact of even genuinely helpful nutritional strategies. Inadequate protein intake is another issue that becomes increasingly common after 60, often without people realizing it. Hair is made of a protein called keratin, and without sufficient dietary protein, the body simply doesn't have the raw materials needed to maintain healthy hair growth cycles. If you're eating less than you used to, which is very common in older adults, this is worth paying attention to. And finally, disrupted or insufficient sleep interferes with the hormonal signaling that governs cell repair and regeneration throughout the body, including in hair follicles. This one is often underestimated, but the research connecting poor sleep to accelerated aging processes, including hair thinning, is quite consistent. I want to pause here and ask you something directly, because I'm genuinely curious. Have you noticed changes in your hair since you turned 50 or 60? Maybe it's been gradual, a little more in the brush, a little less volume, or maybe it happened faster than you expected and caught you off guard. Whatever your experience has been, you're not alone in this, and there's no shame in taking it seriously. Hair matters. It's connected to how we feel about ourselves, our confidence, our sense of vitality. Leave a comment and tell me what you've noticed. This community is full of people navigating the same journey, and your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. For those of you who want to go deeper on the nutritional side of healthy aging, we do have a free resource guide that covers some of the key nutrients and dietary patterns that research has linked to better outcomes in areas like hair health, energy, and cognitive function as we age. There's no pressure. It's simply there if you find that kind of reference useful. You'll find the link in the description below. Before we wrap up, let me give you one quick summary of the practical takeaway here. Pumpkin seeds, whether eaten whole or taken as an oil supplement, bring together several nutritional properties that research suggests may support hair health from multiple directions at once. Potential DHT modulation, zinc delivery, anti-inflammatory antioxidants, circulatory support through magnesium and fatty acids, and gentle hormonal support through plant lignans. This isn't a cure, it isn't a guarantee, but as part of a consistently healthy lifestyle, it's one of the more evidence-supported natural additions you can make, especially after 50. Start small, a small handful of raw pumpkin seeds a day or a high-quality pumpkin seed oil supplement. Give it time because nutrition works on a timeline measured in weeks and months, not days. And combine it with the lifestyle fundamentals: sleep, stress management, protein, and a diet that works with your body rather than against it. In our next video, we're going to be talking about something that affects almost every person over 60 and is almost never discussed in connection with aging, and that's the surprising relationship between gut health and how quickly we age from the inside out. The research on this in the last 5 years has genuinely shifted how experts think about longevity, and we're going to make it completely accessible. You won't want to miss that one. If this video gave you something useful, a like goes a long way in helping this content reach more people who need it. And if you're not subscribed yet, now is a great time. We're building something here that I think is genuinely worth being part of. Take care of yourself. We'll see you in the next one.